6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malwarachi and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Foreign investments of $2.3 billion have been brought into the country last year, surpassing the given targets. The Yuktiya operations will be implemented by all police stations across the country from today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will contest the forthcoming presidential election as the leader of the UNP. Visitors permitted only for Hindu religious prison inmates tomorrow during the occasion of the Thai Pongal festival. A special train service along the upcountry line in view of the Thai Pongal long weekend. In news overseas, Taiwan elects William Lai as president in historic election. And in sports news, the first T20 match between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka will be played in Colombo today. Those are the headlines, and now let's move to the details of the local news. Investment Promotion State Minister Dilum Amunugama emphasized that by the end of last year, foreign investments of $2.3 billion have been brought into Sri Lanka, surpassing the giving targets. The Ministry of Finance has given a target of $1 billion for the year 2023, but at the end of the year, it has been possible to reach an agreement of investments of $1.83 billion. The minister pointed out that due to the impact of the economic situation in the country for the past 6 months of the last year, the government did not get any opportunity to enter into agreements for investments. The state minister also noted that due to certain processes implemented by the government, investors have come to the country. He said that contracts of about 30 projects have been signed last year and many more are to be attracted this year. Acting Inspector General of the Police, Deshabandhu Thennakoon, has mandated the implementation of the Yuktiya operations by all police stations, departments, divisions, districts across the country from today. The move is to bolster the fighting against drug trafficking and organized crime. In a special convened instruction class yesterday, the acting IGP briefed the officers in charge of the police stations, heads of the police divisions and districts, as well as the heads of the crime divisions, headquarters inspectors and officers in charge of the crime branches that active engagement is compulsory on their part to the Yuktiya operation to disrupt and dismantle the drug trafficking and criminal operations. As with the initiative of the acting IGP Thennakoon handed over a list of suspects to the officers in charge of crime, telling them to lead the charge in apprehending them. He told them to execute some 35,505 open warrants across the island. The operation targets to apprehend 4,258 suspects who remain at large, along with 807 suspects from 2022 and 1,678 from the year 2023, totaling to 42,248 suspects. The IGP directed all police divisions to expedite to apprehend the suspects. He issued an order mandating that all crime branch officers be deployed 24 hours a day. The operation aims to bring suspects from open warrants list to justice next month. Chairman of the UNP parliamentarian Vajra Abhivardhana said that the present president has not acted on narrow political mileage in the backdrop of the economic collapse in the country. He made these remarks at a meeting in Galle Town Hall yesterday. The president has taken the utmost efforts to develop the country within 19 months after assuming office. Several draft bills have been amended to control the bribery and corruption. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will contest the forthcoming presidential election as the leader of the UNP. A proposal in this regard was also passed. Former Minister P. Harrison said that the country needs a national leader and not just a leader at this juncture. Only the present President Ranil Wickremesinghe appears to be the national leader. Addressing the district meeting of the UNP in Galle, former parliamentarian Ashu Marasinghe stated that President Wickremesinghe will definitely win the forthcoming presidential election. Former Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam said that Mr. Wickremesinghe is the only leader who can obtain international support to solve the economic problems in the country. The Hambantota district meeting of the UNP will be held today at the Thangala Auditorium at 9 a.m. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
And we continue with more local news. Commissioner of Prisons Gamini Bidisanayaka says that a special program will be implemented on the 15th to allow visitors only to meet Hindu inmates on the occasion of the Thai Pongal festival. He also said that food parcels and sweets brought from home to the relatives of the Hindu religious prisoners can be given to the inmates only in the amount suitable for one person under the existing rules and proper health and safety procedures. The National Building Research Organization has issued a pre-landslide warning in the Ratnapura district. It will be effective in the Ibulpe, Opanaka and Balangon Division Secretariat divisions in the district until 3 p.m. today. The Disaster Management Center said an earth slip was reported at the Varalunduvatta estate in Banal Kumara yesterday. However, 64 persons from 21 families have been evacuated from the area before the earth slip, according to the center. The Asidisi Scholarship Program for the journalists, which is being conducted annually by the Ministry of Media, will be conducted on Tuesday at 1 p.m. at the ministry premises. It will be held under the patronage of Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardana. The objective of this program is the development of conceptual knowledge of the journalists. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Foreign investments of $2.3 billion have been brought into the country last year, surpassing the given targets. The Yukti operations will be implemented by all police stations across the country from today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will contest at the forthcoming presidential elections as the leader of the UNP. Visitors only to Hindu inmates will be allowed tomorrow at the occasion of the Thai Pongal festival. A special train service along the upcountry line in view of the Thai Pongal long weekend. And that was the local news.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatma.
The main news story for this morning, Minister Susya Premajata says measures have been taken to recruit 16,085 graduate teachers. Out of this number, 14,385 teachers will be from the southern province and 1,700 for the national schools. It is expected to recruit these teachers after completing the ongoing advanced level examinations. Teachers are to be recruited for science, mathematics, languages and technology. Accordingly, 3,750 such teachers will be recruited to the Provincial Council schools. And that came to you as the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatma.
This is Watchlight.
The Railways Department will operate a special train service along the upcountry line in view of the Thai Pongal long weekend and school holidays. Accordingly, an express train will run from Colombo Fort Railway Station to Badulla at 7:30 a.m. on the 25th and 27th. And another special train from Badulla to Colombo will also operate at 7:45 a.m. in the mornings of the 15th, 26th and 28th of this month. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. Taiwan elects William Lai as president in historic election. Record-breaking cold weather forecast for many U.S. states. Huge ancient city that was lost found in the Amazon. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. Taiwanese voters have chosen William Lai as their president in a historic election, cementing a path that is increasingly divergent from China. The move has angered Beijing, which issued a statement shortly after the results insisting that Taiwan is part of China. While Beijing has called for peaceful reunification, it has also not ruled out the use of force. It had cast the Taiwan election as a choice between war and peace. A major winter storm has unleashed icy winds and heavy snowfalls across large parts of the U.S., disrupting travel and leaving thousands without power. The storm will be followed by a bitter cold Arctic chill into the weekend, with temperatures dipping nearly -45 centigrade in some areas. Nearly 10 inches of snow fell in Iowa, where the 2024 election cycle kicks off tomorrow. Forecasters have called life-threatening winter weather. a huge ancient city that has been found in the Amazon, hidden for thousands of years by lush vegetation. The discovery changes what we know about the history of people living in the Amazon. The houses and plazas in the Upano area in the eastern Ecuador were connected by an astounding network of roads and canals. The area lies in the shadow of a volcano that created rich local soils but may also have led to the destruction of the society. And that was the world news.
Development news.
Sri Lanka Transport Board plans to introduce a card or QR code-enabled payment system for state-run buses to reduce its daily losses of 10 million rupees due to corrupt bus crews. Minister Bandula Gunawarthana says that some of the bus crews do not return the total earnings to their respective depot. He said that the initiative to introduce an electronic card or QR code system for the commuters to pay for their tickets is now in its final phase. The new system will be introduced in about 2 months. That was the development news. Sports news coming up.
Moving on with sports news.
The first T20 match between the visiting Zimbabwe and the Sri Lanka team will be played at the R. Premadasa Stadium today. The match is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. and 3 T20 matches are to be played between the two nations. Vanidu Hasaranga leads the Sri Lanka T20 team. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
One of the world's largest travel sites, TripAdvisor, has ranked Colombo as the world's 7th best cultural destination for tourism. This was based on the readers' votes received in the year 2022 over a period of 12 months. That is the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage predicts that the revitalization of the tourism industry in Sri Lanka will attract 2 million tourists in the year 2024, generating an estimated revenue of $6 billion. She highlights that there was a substantial increase of 106% in the tourist arrivals last year compared to the previous year, 2022. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. A few showers may occur in the central, Uva and eastern provinces. Mainly fair weather will prevail over the other areas of the island. Fairly strong winds, about 40 km per hour, can be expected at times in the Uva, central and northwestern provinces and in the Ampara, Hambantota and Kangala districts. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Gaul and Mathara districts during the morning hours. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. Foreign investments of $2.3 billion have been brought into the country last year, surpassing the given targets. The Yuktiya operations will be implemented by all police stations across the country from today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will contest at the forthcoming presidential election as the leader of the UNP. Visitors only to Hindu religious inmates will be allowed tomorrow on the occasion of the Thai Pongal festival. A special train service along the upcountry line in view of the Thai Pongal weekend. In news overseas, Taiwan elects William Lai as president in the historic election. And in sports news, the first T20 match between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka will be played in Colombo today. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to Shagi to brighten up your day.